we're back. How you guys doing? It is I, Jaimir, as you can see, the Howard student, also the former Virtual Village influencer, also the former broadcast technician, and we are about to do our final episode of week 1, and this is the beginning. So right now, what we got is our little bit of a welcome going on, and we're going to basically take the conversation we had on Tuesday and extend that to 2050 and beyond, as you can see right there. A little bit rusty. There you go. But that's it. So what we're doing is we like to take the historical context of an issue or a subject, and then we like to elaborate on that in the contemporary, in the modern. And then what we want to do here is really what Ms. Starr and what a lot of our forethinkers, like great thinkers, really want to do is think about things in posterity. So what they mean in the future, hence the name right here. And so now we have a little bit of insight right there. The logo of the Sankofa, which is a tweet, which means go back and get it. So what we did was we went back and we got the knowledge, and now we're about to take that knowledge to 2050 and beyond that. So that right there, that's how we're doing it. So that's our welcome. But Tuesday we had 3 Howard students, and it was great. It was great. It was me, Joseph, and Obi, and we talked and kicked it a little bit. We basically got things firmly planted, but then out of nowhere, bam, we got a whole bunch more people who wanted to be a part of the show. And I see we got a like right now, and we getting the viewers coming in, and I love to see it. I love to see it starting things off right and strong. So basically what we're doing is we're growing. That's what we're doing. And we're growing, and we're continuing to keep things pushing. And I really want to thank you guys for being here at the beginning of the journey with me. And I just can't wait to see what we're doing when we get to the end of this. So that right there is our welcome. But I know you guys are really here for another friendly face, a part of CCIA, and you're really here to get that affirmation.
Greetings, virtual villagers. My name is Shania, and do you know what time it is? It's affirmation time! Time to remind ourselves how great we are. So everybody, repeat after me. I am smart. I have purpose. I am confident. I am valuable. My voice is worthy of being heard. I am an asset to my family, school, and community. I respect myself, and I respect others. I am beautifully made inside and out. I love my beautiful hair, and I love my beautiful brown skin. I am more than enough. Great job, virtual villagers. Can I get a virtual high five? Great job. And always remember how fantastic you are.
We love to see that. We love to see that. And the reason why we wanted to keep Shania here and have that affirmation coming into the new season is mainly because we need that grounding right there. We need that message to start us off right, and Shania always does. But it's a certain thing where she says that she's an asset to her family, school, and community. And this is an outlet for HBCU students. So this right here is how we become an asset to our schools. Even though we are virtual, we're taking that virtual medium and we're extending it and making sure that we're all still a collective. And we even go further into the community outside of that, because we're not insular, we're not just inclusive. But what we're doing is we're broadcasting and highlighting these certain HBCU students so that then they can go back into their communities and sort of help enrich those communities. And that requires everyone to come in and not only just speak, but also to share and disseminate the information so we can get everybody involved, because that's really what this is. It's just an ongoing conversation. It might be Thursday, but the topic doesn't end here. The topic just gets expanded after we leave here. So that's really what we're doing, right? That's really what we're doing here. And moving on, because it's always a hard act trying to follow up after Shania. And last time when I tried to do it, I tried to give everyone sort of that Kwame Ture and that Ready for a Revolution to see if I could keep up with her. But today I wanted to sort of sort of reside in contemporary a little bit more. Before we actually get into our future discussion, I wanted things to be a little bit more understood about what's going on in the world around us. Because, I mean, staying at home and being locked up in quarantine, it gets a little bit dull, boring, and isolated. So we have this segment entitled Within Our Union. Now, what union is that? It's the African Union, it's the Black Union. It's basically all these different countries in the African diaspora, all these different countries where Black people hail from and call home. And what we're doing here is we're just giving you a couple of facts and tidbits and knowledge about what's going on in the Black world. So here we go. First time doing our Within Our Union episode, and let me know in the comments whether I did well or not, please. So moving on, our first thing of discussion is scientific and technological innovation. So trial operations for Nigeria's new Lagos to Ibadan, I hope I said that right, sorry to my people in Niger, railway took place on Monday. The distance between Ibadan and Lagos is 156 kilometers, or about 97 miles, and the rail covered the distance in about 2 hours and 40 minutes, with projections of it actually being a 2-hour trip when things get fully functional. And the project was financed by China, with the contractors being the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation. And it's a lot of innovation, but it's a lot of money lending and dealings with the Chinese in Africa. So that's why I wanted to keep that in mind. But still, this is the first railway of its kind in the West African region. So China or not, this is still a big plus for people in West Africa. And the tickets will about 3,000 to 16,000 naira, or $8 to $16 if you messing with USD like we are here. And then moving on, in Kenya, the COVID-19 pandemic has taken the lives of 1,500 people, with 88,000 people having contracted it as of Thursday. The virus has been especially difficult on the medical workers within the country due to the lack of surgical masks, adequate protective equipment, as well as a lack of health insurance. So we see that a lack of adequate health insurance is a problem that extends all the way to Kenya, to America. But the doctors, and this lack of assistance has sparked protests on behalf of the medical workers. And I mean, a vigil was also held for the recently deceased doctor, Stephen Mugosu, who died from the virus on Monday. He had worked on a temporary contract on the front lines and was not paid for 5 months while he worked tirelessly for his Kenyan people. It is believed that 40 other medical workers have succumbed to the virus along with Brother Mugosu. So we wish a lot of peace and healing on his family, and also a lot of solidarity and peace for the medical workers striking in Kenya. Another technological news, because we're doing a lot of things virtually, and I felt like this was pretty cool. But Morocco's 1337 school is a technological dream. The campus is a paradise for coders, with tuition being free and the curricula being mostly created by the students for the most part. And I mean, free tuition and a curriculum that you sort of build yourself, can't really beat that. I know I would love to have free tuition, really would. And Morocco produces about 8,000 computer engineers every year. So we see that, you know, the new digital face might not be so Western and European. It might be a little bit more Moroccan in the coming years. And moving on, the Central African Republic refugees who sought peace and asylum in Cameroon due to the civil war that started in 2013 are now planning on returning to their home country. The Cameroonian government states that the people are returning to safety, but, you know, we'll see. But it may be the prospects of not being able to participate in the upcoming December 27th presidential election that is truly moving the people back to their homes. And it is assumed that 300,000 people of voting age won't be allowed to vote in the upcoming election. So we might be seeing this mass re-exodus to make sure they get those voting rights back on. And speaking of voting in presidential elections, in Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo is declared the winner of the country's presidential election, with a slim 51.59% of the vote going to him against John Mahama's 47.36% of the vote. Both sides claim they were the winning as of Tuesday, but as things have gone on, Addo has been declared the winner, and in a little bit of tension and spice there going on, there have been 60 plus actually recorded incidents of electoral violence, with 5 people being killed since Monday. So we wish a lot of protection on the people of Ghana, and Ghana is known for its stability. So we hope that there's a smooth transition and we don't see any more violence. Back on the home front, and still on the subject of violence, unfortunately, in Ohio, Columbus, To be specific, Casey Christopher Goodson Jr., age 23, was murdered by the police almost a week ago as he was entering his grandmother's home. So we understand that this has been a recurring event within America. I mean, ever since the George Floyd protests and the Breonna Taylor protests over the summer, we see that things really haven't gotten better. But we do know that the people of Columbus, those great Black citizens out there, are making sure that things are getting done and making sure that the state answers for their violence against our brother. So we wish a lot of healing and peace onto Brother Godson and his family. And then on a different, more scientific note, we have partial results were presented Saturday at an American Society of Hematology conference. That's a mouthful, but basically all of these blood scientists got together and they featured a new one-time DNA altering treatment that targets blood cells that is supposed to treat sickle cell disease, beta thalassemia, and other blood disorders. And I mean, sickle cell is truly something that really afflicts Black people. So it's good to see that this has gone through. And the treatment involves a tool called CRISPR or CRISPR, and 10 patients no longer need regular blood transfusions, are not noticing any pain since the treatment in the last several months since they had it. So it's really promising. And in other late news, we have cinema star Natalie Desselle Reid. Many of you know her from her scenes within Cinderella, Set It Off, Medea's Big Happy Family, Eve, and BAPS. And she made transition on Monday after her battle with colon cancer. So we wish a lot of love and peace onto her family as well. And just a fun fact about her, aside from her magnificent cinematic career, she also attended Grambling State University. So, you know, HBCU magic everywhere. And she hailed from Alexandria, Louisiana. So there we go right there with Black World News Now. There we go. A little bit of news from within our union and still working some things out. But tell me how I did in the comments, please. And right now we have a couple of words from our sponsors.
This episode of the Virtual Village Show has been brought to you by Target.
Hey everyone, it is Tasha Turnbull here, owner of T2 Fitness, and I am bringing to you all the Homebody Series. The Homebody Series was created because we are now more so at home, but guess what? I want us to feel connected. I want us to feel strong together. I want us to sweat together, and I want us to build our healthiest bodies possible. So we're going to be bringing you live workouts that you can do in the mornings, in the evenings, on the weekends, anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. They're going to be low impact workouts, high impact workouts, but guess what? No matter what your fitness level is, all workouts are going to be able to accommodate wherever you are along your fitness journey. So make sure you join us because we need to work out, we need to be strong, and we can do this all from home.
And we're back. How you doing? So I know Tuesday seems like forever ago, especially with 2020 being the longest and fastest year known to all of us. So we might have forgot what happened a little bit, which is why we do have a little bit of a recap just to jog everyone's mind. And with that right there, we have Joseph coming right back with us. Exactly. Jody's going to help me because he is our history majoring extraordinaire. So he'll be helping us with the recap of Tuesday, going over what we're doing, and just sort of helping me fill in anything that I might have missed, or he feels like we definitely need to just get back so we can make sure that the conversation we have today is a little bit more firm and solid. So, how you feeling, Jody? Before I break you with these questions.
How you feeling, Jod?
I'm great, man. I'm great. We just chilling and things like that, just enjoying ourselves. I mean, before we get into that, Dr. Quarles read that in Accra, Ghana is inviting African Americans to bring their entrepreneurial spirit and energy to them. And that sort of coincides with the year of return, I think in 2019, where they had a lot of African Americans come back, and they were giving citizenship to African Americans. So dual citizenship, actually. So you can become an American citizen as well as a Ghanaian citizen. So I'm feeling that. And I think it's going to be pretty great because speaking of, having another citizen join us, It's Mr. Keith. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
You know how it is. It feels a little crowded here, doesn't it? Though, let's spread out a little bit, fellas. There we go. I like y'all, but not that much. So, moving. So, introducing that right there. Just a recap of what we went over on Tuesday, just so we can make sure that when we do springboard into what we have going on, and I'm pretty excited. We got a full house tonight. So, what we got going on? So, it's pulling a blank. Y'all remember what we did on Tuesday?
We discussed HBCUs and the role within the African diaspora. We talked about HBCUs and a lot of their dwindling statuses. We talked about a lot of HBCUs being now majority white as Black people have sort of moved out of those universities into other PWIs and like into the top HBCUs. We talked about crippling funding. We talked about gentrification within the communities of HBCUs, and we talked about how we can tackle all of these issues.
We did a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Okay. So now that my memory is a little bit jogged, thank you, Jody. Obi, before my memory is not all the way there. Do you remember what we was doing too?
Basically, what Jody said. We also discussed the presence of white HBCUs, how that's harmful. The Spelman girl who transferred in, as well. I'm not sure about what else we touched on. I think that's it. I think we got everything.
Okay, cool. So now that my memory's been thoroughly jogged, thank you, fellas. I appreciate that. I recall us having to go through the similar process of an introduction and a welcoming process of a sense, and we I hearkened on the great story in life of a certain Kwame Ture who graduated from what university?
Howard.
There it is.
Yes.
I just needed somebody to say it. And I'm glad I see so many Howard shirts on right now, repping my university. And after we spoke a little bit on our Africana Revolutionary, then we got into, what was it that we did? I think it was setting up a historical context of what HBCUs have been and sort of building a framework about how HBCUs became actually designated as HBCUs. And then before that, because the term HBCU is rather recent, we talked about the long and storied history of Black universities and how they've been producing so many of these, greats in several fields of industry, as well as just becoming the backbone of the Black intellectual community. So I feel like we talked about that. Like you guys did say, we did discuss about how HBCUs are a safe place for Black people to be safe and all that entails. And we also spoke a little bit about finding our Blackness at these HBCUs. And that was a touchy subject for some, but we came to the conclusion that what do we do with these people who are trying to find their Blackness? We sort of just leave them be because that's a part of their life. And it's kind of aggressive trying to do something with other people. But outside of that, we came through. We talked about how the HBCUs are also sort of aiding in their own gentrification in a sense, because due to the lack of funding. And I think that might lead me to a question I might have to pose to you guys a little bit later, because this funding thing seems to be like a continued issue for us as HBCUs. So we might have to get into that a little bit later, but we'll see. And then what else do we talk about coming into HBCUs? All right, yeah. I'm all right. I've just pulled it back. Thank you guys. Like y'all just hit me with so many different words. That silence was deafening. It really pulled me right back into it. And I believe after we spoke about HBCUs, we set up things to basically close out in a sense. So with that being said, I didn't do a certain thing. And the thing was, if you guys were viewers of Clever Communities in Action in our multiple seasons, if you read a book for us, you became inducted into our literacy gang. Now, as you can see here, there's no real books for y'all to read. But if you're a part of the conversation, if you're a part of the round table, if you're a part of the dialogue, then and name still up in the air a little bit because I don't have the best ideas when it comes to naming things, but I can elaborate on things. But I think you guys are about to be a part of our Council of Scholars. It sounds very airy and it sounds regal, and I'm really feeling it. And it sounds intellectual. So, welcome you to the first Council of Scholars. We'll see how the name sticks. If you think you need to get it on a shirt, I'm sure we can definitely be a part of the Black American T-shirt industrial complex and get that right on the shirt. But I'm glad we covered that right there and gotten things a little bit back up to speed. So, when we do bring on our guests, because how many people do we have in the room tonight?
I don't even remember.
Not two, not three, not four, not five, six. That's right, it's six.
Six.
It's like Michael Jordan rings. We got six, but we got to take five real quick, and we'll be right back after these ads.
This episode of the Virtual Village Show has been brought to you by Target.
Hey everyone, it is Tasha Turnbull here, owner of T2 Fitness, and I am bringing to you all the Homebody Series. The Homebody Series was created because we are now more so at home, but guess what? I want us to feel connected. I want us to feel strong together. I want us to sweat together, and I want us to build our healthiest bodies possible. So we're going to be bringing you live workouts that you can do in the mornings, in the evenings, on the weekends, anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. They're going to be low impact workouts, high impact workouts, but guess what? No matter what your fitness level is, all workouts are going to be able to accommodate wherever you are along your fitness journey. So make sure you join us because we need to work out, we need to be strong, and we can do this all from home.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Y'all like how I did it when I was like six, like Michael Jordan, and take five with the ads? Y'all like that transition? No, just me?
It was okay.
It was decent.
It was something.
I feel like that wasn't what I wanted, and you know that, but all right.
Yeah. It was something that happened.
I'm just going to bring on some people who actually like me then, because obviously this isn't working out anymore. So we did set up, like I said, what we're doing is it's a continual conversation where we pull from the past to speak about the present in order so we can prepare for the future. And right here, we're going to be bringing on a couple of my friends, also some fellow bison, no S. And basically, because that's a struggle for a lot of people. I'm not going to lie to you. Like they say bison. It's like moose or like geese, you know what I'm saying? It's like, or deer. You know what I'm saying? It's plural. It's plural and singular. I'm getting besides myself in front of myself. So, like I said, I was going to be bringing on some fellow students. Looks like Jody just got Teddy Riley'd again, but that's okay because we know that it's the government and it's not his internet. And right now, we're going to be bringing on a couple of people just so they can kick it with us a little bit and we can actually sort of figure out how we can address some of the issues that plague HBCUs. And also sort of theorize about what they might be going on. And this is how we're going to bring them on in this order. This is our friend. We've known him for a while. He's a pretty cool dude, mad tall, hails from Ohio. Y'all gonna hype him up, or it's just gonna be me? Like, we know him.
Yeah, he's cool.
No, from Columbus, born and raised in DC beforehand.
Virginia. You don't even know the dude bio. Okay, fine. Solomon Grayson, our guy. How you doing, Solo? How you doing, man?
How y'all doing? Happy to be here. That's all y'all know about me. Dang. I thought y'all knew better than that.
That was sad, bro. They didn't pick you up the way I wanted it to. But but like I said, we got six, bro. So right now we have four. It's uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Yeah. Bilingual, trilingual, you know what I'm saying? Polyglot. Right now, we're going to bring on my friend, my HU23 mentor, the only HU23 mentor I have, just so I can avoid any type of confusion there. Jariah Stewart, how you doing, man? Straight from the realm of right there. Part of the Chocolate City right there. How you doing, Jariah?
I'm great. You're HU23 mentor. I feel so honored.
Absolutely. All right. But like we said, we got six people on. So I don't know anything outside of four in Spanish, and I ain't taking a foreign language yet. So we're just gonna bring our fellow HU24 member on. Jasmine, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. You know, just chilling, happy to be around all of this Howardness. I love the enthusiasm. I love the enthusiasm.
Yo, hey, you.
You know? Okay.
Oh, God.
Only one.
I'm telling you,
How you Mr. Freshman and you don't even know the call like that?
I do. I was just not expecting it.
Okay.
It's okay. I wasn't either.
Can we get a formal?
How was I the only one who knew? All right.
It's you.
You know.
First of all, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it has to be from the bottom of your belly. It's a whole call. It's HU. It's the whole body.
So we gonna get James on here then. That'll get y'all right.
James on here, yeah. It's a whole body experience when you say it.
I understand.
But let's see what we got going on. Oh, okay. So we got a little bit of somebody in the comments is with us tonight. Somebody's in the group. There we go. So I appreciate you guys being on our panel discussion here. You know what I'm saying? This is a platform that's very dear to my heart because I really think that what we can do here. Oh, okay. The Hilltop is in the house. So okay, all right. Anybody gonna shout out to Mecca or Capstone? Anything else? These is deep cuts now. These are deep cuts.
I mean, we got the flagship over here on the right side.
That's true.
How many of y'all are in co-op?
I wasn't co-op.
I am.
Where'd you come?
SOC the gang.
Yes, sir. SOC, that's the grocery store right there. I don't know about that though.
It don't hit the same. I'm sorry.
It doesn't hit the same.
It's the grocery store.
Flagship.
What are we doing though? What do you do? All right. So guess what? The reason why SOC is known as the grocery store is because when you go in a grocery store, you come in and you get groceries. But the groceries in this case is knowledge. That's why it's the grocery store.
It's the winner every school in college be a grocery store.
Like the worst I've ever heard in my life.
What is that supposed to do for me?
It's not giving what it's supposed to have gave.
You're banned from the grocery store. You're banned from the grocery store. Oh, okay. Our home by the sea. That right there. That's the Hampton shout out.
Wait a minute.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Shout out to Mr. Jordan. Yeah. Okay, that's cute. To get into it though, speaking of HBCUs, I mean, we just mentioned the H in Howard and the U and Howard. So, and we'll figure out what else goes in there. But we're talking about HBCUs in the future. Now, with this right here, this is where we get into that little bit of heavier stuff and discussion. And my first question will be is like, what do you guys think is, well, we understand that historically HBCUs have struggled financially, mainly due to the fact that Black people lack capital in the country. But HBCUs also produce many of those who will go on to acquire some form of capital. And so my question is, where do you think the funding will come from HBCUs in the future? And usually when this happens, we toss a question out and then somebody has to raise their hand and then you get tapped, because when everyone sort of talks up, jumps on it, then it kind of gets yikes and you can't really hear nothing. So it's kind of kindergarten a little bit, but raise your hand. We'll get into that.
I'll go.
My man, look. I see you.
In regard to funding, I feel as though this generation of HBCU students is different than the past. And I know we've had some some of us, I see Jody's face. Some of us are different. And I feel as though those of us who are fortunate enough to acquire income and be successful in whatever career field we go into will be the ones to pour funding back into our HBCU and other HBCUs. I know that's a smaller one, but I feel as though that's base level in regards to us getting funding for our schools. Because if no one else is going to do it, it has to be us, right? So,
sure enough, man. So using the alumni network, I see you, Jariah, but I wanted to just sort of expand off of what Solomon said, because it's a conversation. If it's just call and response, it's a conversation. So we're about to respond to what Solo said, and it's so basically what Solo was was the funding will come from the students, but then I got to hit you with, well, seeing as student debt is ever increasing and Black people in debt are kind of go together a lot, because even though a lot of these HBCU graduates do graduate, they typically have some of the highest forms of debt, especially if they went to grad school as well. So with that being said, how do these students sort of combat their own debt while also feeding back into HBCU?
I think that's a whole nother issue. Yeah.
I feel you. And then I know Jariah, you're tapped, and then we got you, Jasmine.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say you have to realize funding. Solomon was talking about, when you become an alumni, you supporting your school again. But we also have to realize that sometimes we go on and we don't want to support the school because they made it very difficult while we were going through. And so, as much as you want to support HBCUs, part of you is also selfish. It's like, well, they made my life this, and it was hard to get in contact with the financial aid office, and it's a full circle because then we're not supporting our HBCUs. And then more generations of students are getting ran through this, the Howard runaround specifically, and then they don't give back. And it's this whole cycle. So we have to break that cycle.
I agree. Okay. So breaking the cycle of sort of buyer's remorse with having to deal with a lackluster and inept administration in a sense. Like, not specifically me, but I've heard from many that there's a certain administration that's lackluster and inept, and it sort of pushes a lot of people out from trying to give money back to said lackluster and inept administration. But Jasmine, I know you've been sitting there for a while, so what do you have to say?
I'll kind of go off of Jariah's point a little bit about the cycle. I know it's my first year, but I have definitely been caught in the runaround with financial aid, the bursar, registrar, even. Like, it's a hassle to do everything. But both of my parents went to HBCU, and so they kind of told me, like, this is going to prepare you for life. They both work in corporate America, and so they say this is stuff that they have to deal with on a daily basis. So this experience that I'm going through now is just going to prepare me for life. And so I think if we can kind of get in our heads that this is something that's going to help us instead of just being frustrated, it'll kind of motivate us to give back to our HBCU. And then the point about alumni, like, needing to give back, but we're also in debt. There's a lot of scholarships now that are focused for minority students, especially Black students. You have Thurgood Marshall Fund, and there's a lot of different funds that are focused on Black students. And so I think if we can kind of get the word out about scholarships, because so much scholarship money goes unclaimed, if we can kind of get that word out and get it to students, that way nobody is in as much debt as they were or as they would have been. And then that way we can kind of keep the cycle going, keep moving it forward, so we can give back and uplift our HBCUs. And then my third point that I was going to say is I think now HBCUs are going to get a little bit more attention because Kamala Harris is now in office, and she's a proud Howard alumni. She's also part of so I think that is going to bring a lot more awareness to HBCUs. And I think they'll get more publicity, hopefully more funding. I mean, I don't think she has a lot of control over that, but I do hope that it gets the word out there to the benefits of HBCUs, what it has to offer, and how important it is to have that Black experience in education and in higher education. So hopefully, that has a good impact on, I guess, us and our future HBCU scholars.
Cool. Okay. Using a little bit of that executive clout that we get from Kamala a little bit. Coffers. Fellas, y'all got anything? What's good? I look quiet.
You talking to me?
I'm looking at you, right?
You talking to him?
I'm looking at both of you.
I was like, is he looking at me?
I was trying to raise my hand slightly, but I want to shift the goalposts entirely because when
Go ahead, Jody.
Solomon brought up the idea of, just alumni giving back to the university, and you, Jamir, you responded with, the perils of student debt. I would like to say that in the future, in an ideal future, all of this student debt would likely be canceled for these students because we see it now. Like, there's a literal student debt tracker on Twitter. Like, it's in the trillions, if not just the billions only, but it's just deep and it contributes nothing to our society. But also HBCUs alone just garnering funding, that should come as a form of reparations. HBCUs have been underfunded for decades, on centuries. Black people have been oppressed under this American regime for centuries. And if we're actually going to put ourselves on a level playing field with these PWIs, we should also acknowledge that the way that many of these universities built their endowments was through profits from slavery and such. So maybe the government should actually do more to try and help out HBCUs, considering that they know their mission is to serve the Black communities of America.
That's a good point.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jody. I think the government definitely needs to pass more legislation, give us more grants, help us financially, especially since the gap between HBCUs and PWIs is astronomically large. Like, we are not anywhere near some of them. I believe Howard is only a couple 100,000 behind Georgetown. And like, for example, for scale, compared to Harvard or Yale, billions behind. And it's like, we really, I mean, alumni network is important, but alumni cannot give back enough within at least the next century to bridge that gap. That gap is ridiculously large, and it's due to slavery and due to these other exploitative measures that we need the government to help us with that. That is definitely reparations.
Go ahead. I saw you.
You looking at me?
No, that was Jariah. Okay.
Oh, that
You
point.
looking at me. So
I thought you did this.
I did, but the pointing just threw me off. But anyway, to touch on what Jody and Obi said, because I'm from the DMV, and there was this huge thing about the Maryland government not giving funding to the HBCUs in Maryland. It was Bowie State, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, and Morgan. They weren't getting the funding that the other schools were getting. But when you get into funding of HBCUs, like Obi said, there's this gap because there's so many factors that we need to play into. Like, for example, my freshman year, we played the University of Maryland, the football team, and we got crushed. And this isn't important, but the fact is that everybody was saying, well, Black athletes need to go, to Black schools because then we can increase funding, we can get more. But because the PWIs already have the funding, the Black athletes are going there. So it's like you keep saying, it's really just cycles. There are so many layers of why we're so far behind, like the government and the funding and like the alumni. I feel like we could talk about it for the rest of the night.
That's the hope. But I like how you mentioned. Oh, Jasmine, did I miss you?
It's okay. Yeah, I just have one point.
Oh no, keep going, bro. We chilling. Go ahead.
It was kind of the athletics. I think that is a really big thing because as an athlete myself, I'm on the Howard women's soccer team. But I remember
soccer.
Yay! I remember when I was going through my recruiting process, I started looking at Howard my freshman year because both of my parents, they were HBCUs, and they were like, "You need to look at one." So I was like, "Okay, I'll look at Howard," but I got no responses. They weren't really recruiting heavily, and so when you start going through that process and you're looking at other schools, when you don't see that love coming from HBCUs and you're not seeing the differences, like the differences become so stark, right? You have your Vanderbilts, your Ivies who are bringing you on campus, showing you what they have to offer, and then you're having to fight to get in contact with HBCUs. It makes it very difficult to want to say, like, this is where I need to go. This is where I want to go. And I think I really, truly, if HBCUs put their names out there and put what they have to offer for Black athletes, they will be so much more successful. Because I didn't want to go to PWI. I could not stand playing another 4 years with girls who didn't care about me, they didn't care at all. Like, it's just, oh, you're good. Oh, you're the other Black girl, the faster. Like, enough of that. I had enough. And so I was like, I needed to go to HBCU. But a lot of Black girls don't know that. And a lot of Black athletes don't know what it has to offer. So, yeah.
I'm feeling the energy. I saw him too. I saw Obi. Oh, wait, I got rusty. Okay, I saw Obi, and then I saw Jariah.
I would say it's hard to, and I keep saying this because I was on campus my freshman year. It's hard to market.
That's flex, but okay.
HBCU brings, like, you can be like, oh, it's a whole bunch of Black people, but to somebody who doesn't really care, it's just like whatever. But it's like you have you have to be on the campus. And that's why also, like she said, going, you know, the PWI showing you campus looks like, you have to go on campus. And I tell you, I went to Howard's homecoming my junior year of high school. And I was like, this is where I'm going. I was like, no, nothing. I told my parents, like, this is where I'm going. But you have to be there. And if, you know, if you're at a predominantly white high school and they're not telling you about it and you don't feel like it's issue and your parents aren't talking about it, like Jasmine said, if people aren't talking about it, then you're never gonna be interested in it. So like I said, we really do need to bring awareness because it is such a beautiful thing. I remember before we got sent home for Corona, this Monday on the yard, it just sun is out, Black people everywhere, literally just doing nothing, not worried about anything. And it's just like, you're not going to be able to get that anywhere else, but you can't really market that either because, you know, and then, you know, then people may want to steal it, you know. I'm not talking about that, you know, Spelman girl, but.
No, yeah, I know you wanted to go, so you got it.
Yeah, okay. So when Jasmine said she had to fight to find out about Howard, I felt the exact same way. I don't know what it is, and I think it's about funding. It probably is. But Howard was the one school that was not sending letters. They were not sending emails. They were not sending magazines. They were not sending portfolios, nothing. I had to
be there real quick. I still haven't got my acceptance packet.
Oh, yikes.
Oh.
Are you serious?
I got mine in like May, but I got it.
still haven't got mine.
In May?
I got mine.
Yes.
I got mine.
Thank you for showing solidarity, Obiora. Thank you.
I didn't get
mine.
Hey, yo, Jai, I didn't get mine either. It's all good.
What? Did y'all apply regular?
But yeah, Howard was not marketing as hard as the other school. Actually, they weren't marketing at all. If I'm being honest, and I know they scout certain people for sports scholarships, and those people tend to be white. I know there's a lot of white kids who are on sports scholarships.
The kicker.
But if I expressed interest, I went to all of the HBCU fairs they were at. I gave them my number, my email, my everything, and they wouldn't. Like, I would have to hunt them down. They wouldn't give me anything. I would have to reach out to people who already go to the school. I wasn't getting any info from anyone else. And I think that's a very big part as well. I think some HBCUs, or maybe most, don't even have the funding to spend on marketing. Like, they don't have the funds to really spend on pulling in students from around the nation or around the country.
Obi though. Counterpoint though, because yeah, just like you, I was at HBCU fairs and I was giving them my number, my email, and I know they had them. But what I found interesting during my senior year is my non-white friends were getting emails and packages from Howard University, while like I had signed up for the email list and got nada. I got zilch. But also, I wanted to make a comment about Jariah's comment earlier that like athletes would have to come like on campus to truly like understand the experience that is coming to an HBCU, and how she mentioned that she went during homecoming and was like, yeah, no, this is where I'm going. Somebody theorized that McCord Maker, you know, the 5-star athlete that came over this past season, chose Howard University because he went to homecoming and just like saw everyone and was like, okay, yeah, I'm set on this, because he has a picture on his Instagram of him being at Howard homecoming. They also brought Josh Christopher over, but he didn't commit because he wanted to go to that white ASU school where he's doing pretty well, but like, it's whatever.
It's an HBCU platform. We don't really care about ASU.
Yep.
Isn't ASU
no. Arizona State. We're not talking about.
Oh, I was about to say,
We're talking about Bama.
The Stingettes that I know, they at HBCU. But anyway,
no, but like, okay, Solo, I see you. You got it.
I will say I feel like we made some progress this past year with, for example, Chris Paul. I don't know if y'all saw, he was representing during the NBA bubble in Orlando this past summer. He was wearing HBCU gear pretty much every single game that he played. And I feel like an audience, like a Black audience that may not have been exposed to HBCUs before, may have been exposed to, you know, Howard or Hampton or some other HBCU because of his choice to wear that paraphernalia, that gear. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that point.
Jasmine. Oh, wait, Jasmine.
See, it's inverted.
Just going back about like the McCurmaker thing about how when he visited, it was the same thing for me. I visited Howard, ended up going by myself just to go because I have family in DC. And when I got on campus, I was like, oh my goodness. I said, if I play soccer or not, I'm going here. Like I didn't care if I played soccer. From that moment, I was hunting down that soccer coach. I was like emailing, talking to anybody who played at Howard, like, how can I get in touch? And that's how I knew. But it was really seeing what Howard had to offer, seeing all that Black excellence on campus, seeing teachers who care about students who are also ethnic so they know our experiences, and seeing all these programs that they have to offer for minority students, for Black students. It was just something that I could not have gotten at any other school that I went to. And so for me, the choice was, it was unmatched. It didn't there was no competition. But there's students who never get that, and there's athletes who never get to see that. And so I think that's something that HBCUs have that's different, that they need to really try and get out there. Like, try to get Black athletes to come visit your school. Try to recruit them, email them, tell them to come visit on an unofficial, and get them out there, get them to see what you guys have to offer. Because I promise if that happens, there will be so many other Black athletes and just Black students in general coming to HBCUs.
If you check the comments, Jamir, Professor, or I think it's Dr. Quarles, he made a comment.
Yeah, I see him.
Yeah, he made a comment about how Howard does have the largest endowment of HBCUs. And he also pointed out that Harvard University, their endowment is more than $40 billion. I would like to point out that Harvard University's endowment is larger than that of entire GDPs of nations on our globe. So Harvard literally just has the money of an entire country's economy. So
slave money.
Pretty much. But I wanted to address Dr. Quarles' comment on HBCU endowment, because we talked about how Howard didn't really recruit us. If you were an athlete, maybe, but if you were just a regular, student who was I'm pretty smart. Howard, to me, it was mostly about, what we are, who we are. You're going to apply anyway. We're not going to reach out to you.
Yep.
And that right there, it feels to me that with certain HBCUs, there's this decadence to them. There's this idea that you're the brand, the name, you're going to come here anyway. And then there are other HBCUs who don't get that recognition, and they're struggling to find students. And those are the two ends of the spectrum we're on here. All of them are heavily underfunded. So it's going to be difficult trying to get that recruitment out, to get those 5-star athletes to come in. And what McCord did was absolutely amazing. Shout out to dude for coming to Howard University. Hopefully, if you see this, you'll come on the show, bro. I'm just saying, come on, bro. I'm a big fan. Dang, come on, man. Look,
he ain't showing us the games. Oh, that man is injured.
Who you talking to?
Bro, I've been watching the games.
When did he get hurt?
Get on the team. I could have walked.
He got hurt a couple weeks ago, and then they sent out a really cryptic release about how he's injured out for the season indefinitely. So nobody knows if he's coming back.
Huh? He ain't hurt. He probably just waiting for the draft.
They said it was a groin injury. That'd be kind of messed up.
You think he won and done?
He waiting for the draft.
No, I don't think he's one and done. Okay, and no, because I don't want to pile on one of our own student athletes, but I'm not. I'm saying he's probably not going to be one and done because of
trying to get him on the show. On the show.
Okay, no, he's probably not going to be one and done just because of his performance in the first couple games that we had. And it's clear that the system that our coach Kenny Blakeney has for Howard right now isn't really working. But we do have because it's going to be. I'm telling you, next season our team is going to be straight because we got that 3-star that just committed to the school, and then we have that transfer No Gel who can't play until next year because he's a red transfer, so he can't play. And I'm saying it's going to be a lot better. It's going to be dangerous. But if he stays, his draft stock is going to go up.
I hope you're right, Joey.
Most definitely.
I just want to say this is why. Oh.
No, I just wanted to keep going what I was saying because I was trying to get that maker support, and then we went into his whole what he should do for.
Yeah, this is on topic though. This is on topic.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Maker, you come, McCourt, if you come on the show, we'll get you drafted as a lottery pick, guaranteed.
We'll boost your draft stock.
bro, the scouts love people who get back to the community. But
They also love sob stories.
and I'm desperate. I'm a sob story. Come on, get back, bro. But like on a more serious note, we talked about, and then I hit you right after Obi. But we talked about how some HBCUs reside off of name recognition, while others simply go completely overlooked, and they also get looked down upon because it's like, oh, bro, like who wants to go to like Morgan State or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to sort of, and what I'm thinking is, how do we go on to sort of bridge this gap of these HBCUs who sort of sit back, rest on their laurels, and don't really reach out to students, and bridge the gap between those HBCUs and HBCUs who are barely keeping the doors open in the coming years? I'm sorry if that was off topic for you, Obi.
It puts what I'm going to say in a weird position, but it's basically the same thing. Like, this is where the discussion or the argument that Howard is surviving off of its old name comes in, because in the recent years, even us, I think we can all agree, we haven't really seen an effort to market or really sell the school to students. It's very much where historically relevant, and we're still relevant now. We have celebrity alum and we have this big name, so you're going to come to us regardless. So this effort to pull students in just really isn't all the way present at all. I don't think, at least me personally, I didn't feel wanted by the school. Like the school, I had to want them. Like it was
Not
really
even committed, man.
like some colleges are still emailing me, and it's months,
bro.
Yeah, and Howard had not sent me one email until after I got in, and even that one was late.
The acceptance was late. I was up all night.
That's my thing. Howard, I think this is like, I really do think Howard is very confident in their name and the history of the school, which is why the marketing is just and this, like Josh said, certain HBCUs, they really will email you and come for you, and they really will, like, try and market themselves. But then again, if you're on the bridge of closing your doors, how much money can you really pour into marketing as well, which is another factor to consider. And I really don't know how to bridge that gap, but it definitely is like two sides of the spectrum when it comes to HBCUs.
Shout out to Jasmine and then Mariah.
I really do think that's a really good question. And to me, it's really hard because they don't have the funding. And I also think bigger HBCUs, they're going to want those students to come to their schools. I guess a place that they could start is going to majority Black schools and just letting students know what HBCUs are. Because I know at like my school, at least, there was definitely students who could have gone to college, but they just didn't want to. And they were like, I'm not going to be stuck at another school where I don't really care. Like, I don't like the people. I'm not really into like the subjects, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you have your smaller HBCUs where someone can specialize in something, where they can go to school with other Black students that they really want to do that, if they know about HBCUs, I really do think students will go to college, right? And they would try and do something that isn't just getting out of school and going straight into the workforce, right? So I think that's some place that we could start. But other than that, I personally don't know. I'm just thinking that's a place that they could start, or we could start.
I will say that I didn't mind chasing after Howard because it was what I wanted. Like, and I know you guys think like, but like I went to a predominantly white high school.
Me too.
And I was like, I don't care what I got to do. I was gonna say, I didn't care what I had to do. I don't care who I had to talk to. I don't care who I had to stalk. I was going to go to Howard. I don't care if they emailed. Howard never emailed me once. No, but it was what I wanted. But like Jasmine said, there's some people who don't, want that. So I think that we as students have to make, a bigger effort, because sometimes, once we get there, it's like, Howard students like, yeah, I'm a Howard, hair flip, I'm a Howard, and that's it. But it's not plugging other HBCUs. And, on Twitter, there's so many arguments to be like, oh, Howard's getting more recognition and blah, blah, blah. As students, we eat it up and we're like, oh, you hate us because you ain't us or whatever. But I think part of it is we really do need to start bringing awareness. We can't put it all on other people. We have to do it ourselves. And I think that's the biggest thing. We need to start doing it ourselves. We need to start plugging other HBCUs.
I think
You did that.
I think when it comes to awareness,
So I did see Solo. Solo had his hand raised. I was putting you not for the talking stick, but because you did a whole thread. You did a thread on that. Like,
I did do a thread.
That was you.
Plug it in the chat.
I did do it. I did do a thread. I did.
That
was definitely a perfect thing.
Yeah, that's Solo.
Okay. Just going back to what Jasmine said about visiting high schools. I don't think one HBCU visited my high school during like the extensive, long process of college visits. And I think the extent of HBCU exposures at my high school, I went to predominantly Catholic white schools. So you can just imagine what that was like. And I actually had started my school's first Black Student Union. And one of my initiatives with that was to bring more exposure to HBCUs, because we have a large, not a large, but a decent African-American population at the school. And a lot of them just don't know about HBCUs. I was surprised to hear that a lot of people don't even know what Howard University is in some of those predominantly white schools. And I think it's incumbent upon us, after we leave Howard University, even while we're at the school, to continue to spread the idea and the goals of why going to an HBCU is important. And I don't know how we would go about doing that. I feel like I don't want to go back to my high school, but that's just me personally. But I feel like Howard, I don't know how Howard would go about visiting more high schools across the country and exposing HBCUs, or I don't know how that process would work. But I just feel as though Jasmine posed a great idea with the idea of HBCUs. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it falls on us primarily because, because we already know marketing, at least on the HBCU level, on the institution level, it may be due to funding. And so that's when alumni come in, and when like members of the school come in to sell the school to other members of the Black community. Because me personally, like after I made that thread, a lot of people made the point that alumni at these schools need to do a better job of putting their school on whatever projects they're doing. Because Howard, when we see Howard now, a lot of the recognition we get is from like creatives who will bring their school and put their school in movies or put their schools in these things that they're doing. They're keeping Howard relevant through those means. For example, the movie Us, the Howard sweatshirt in the trailer, or in one of the opening scenes. That sweatshirt, like when you see that, or when that new Cartoon Network,
Greg of the Creek,
that cartoon, the Hampton or Howard sweatshirt, whichever one it is.
Yeah, straight. It had HU on it, and it was contested because some people was like, "It's Hampton," but it wasn't. It was.
I feel like, the point is, it's a word of mouth thing. It falls on the people who have gone to the school or who are currently at the school to continue spreading the name and the awareness about HBCUs in general. Like Beyonce never went to HBCU, but she did a very major thing which brought a lot of attention to HBCUs.
And neither did CP3, and neither did Kanye.
The Queen.
They call it the Beyonce bump in the admissions pool, where you can clearly see overall across the board, HBCUs receive more attention because of her, which is a positive thing. Like celebrities can help too. I think it's like a community-wide effort. Yes, celebrities can help too. Why are you?
It's like,
you know how I feel about celebrities.
But it's on us as Black people to spread HBCUs around, because our school, we know they're underfunded and we know they don't have much money to put into marketing.
Okay, and I'm glad that you said we don't have that much money, because this sort of plays back into what I've been thinking about. Because what I've been hearing right now is like getting the word of getting the name out there. It's word of mouth. The alumni have to come back and sort of make sure that they let people know what HBCUs are. We also have to do something as current students, so maybe go back to our high schools. But I wanted to sort of just kick this out here. So typically, the formative years of a child's education are first, second, and third grade. Kindergarten as well, but kindergarten is more like playing and just sort of like developing social skills. But first, second, third grade, that's when a child really Jody got taken really hard, bro. Like he didn't even freeze, he just dipped. Man, well, he got Langston. For those of y'all who are Howard Twitter, you know what that is. But essentially, what I'm hearing is like
you did not do that.
First, second, and third grade, that's really one of the more formative years of the show of like a child's education. And it's been documented, there's research into it, that if a child has just one black teacher during those first 3 years, then their chances of going to university they go up like 22 to 32%. And then if you have two black teachers in those 3 years, the chances go up from 36 to 44%. Numbers are a little bit off because it's been a minute since I looked at it. But what we're hearing is a black teacher in the room heightens the likelihood of a child going to secondary education. But the research wasn't shown on what schools those children are going to, which then it makes me think that an initiative that could be put in place is, well, not in the sense of black teachers coming to just having more black teachers, but in the sense that having more HBCU students and alum go into these classrooms, into these elementary school classrooms, and let them know about these schools at an earlier age. Because a lot of people don't know what an HBCU is until 8th grade, if they're lucky. Never if they just go, because all right, I'm rolling up sleeves and stuff like that. But y'all understand that with the integration of schools, that black people were in these predominantly white schools, because a lot of the black schools were underfunded, as they always are. And so people push their black children to go to these white schools so that way they can become a little bit more educated in a sense, because the facilities were better. And Jody's back. Thank you, my brother. So we see that black people are placed into these white institutions for the betterment of their, human capital, if you will, to, improve their prospects. But it came at the expense of all of these black schools, all of these black colleges. They were becoming pushed to the side, because if you go to a predominantly white elementary school, a predominantly white middle school, a predominantly white high school, then chances are you'll probably go to a predominantly white college or university. And what I think is something that could possibly be done, I'm shaking your head, I agree, Obi, I agree. But something that could be done is that some sort of youth outreach can be done to reach the children in a sense. And not just the children, not just these young kids, but also like going back to our high schools and talking to the kids that were a grade under us, or like a couple. But I know as a senior, it was weird because you only talked to seniors and then maybe a handful of juniors. I ain't really talked to no freshmen or sophomores. Did y'all?
I mean,
I did, but not only because I was president of my high school. It was kind of a natural thing for me to just talk to everyone.
I was politically assassinated at my high school, so I was.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah. Okay, but
your position,
bro, they got me. I was politically assassinated, but I rose back like the ebony phoenix I am, and that's how we got here.
Okay, December 21st.
Hey, Paul, when you December 21st, Joe, don't even worry about it.
So,
I will say that at my high school, I did see, when I was applying to Howard, and there's truth you're saying, because I'm saying this, the girls that were under me, like a year under me, when I graduated, they were reaching out to me. It's like, well, I think I want to go to HBCU. Can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? So there is some truth in going back and, sharing with them what you experienced, especially when it is a predominantly white school, because when I went to freshman orientation, you'd be surprised how many black people were in the auditorium. They were like, I came here because I'm tired of white people and like I want to be around my people. So there really is like an interest in these schools and in these HBCUs.
I agree. And Ms. Starr's comment reminded me of something, and Jiraiya, you as well. But like Solo.
I was just making the point.
You got it, G.
You can go ahead, John. I'll go after that.
No, G, you got it. It's good.
I was just going back to what Jiraiya said. With being the president of my school's Black Student Union, I had to come in contact with the freshmen, and that was also a segue for me to introduce them to the idea of HBCUs. And I can already see the fruit of those conversations, because a lot of them are reaching out to me and saying that they've already applied or are considering applying to an HBCU, not even Howard. Like I had a girl that I had mentored, but she was in the club, and she recently just got into NCAT, and I think she's going to go there. So it's just, I think it's having those types of conversations with the younger people. Go ahead, Joe.
We love NCAT.
Like y'all are having success with recruiting these younger Black students to HBCUs, because I've tried it like with a few of the younger people that I know, and the first thing that they tell me, because I went to like a predominantly white high school, the first thing they tell me is, I prefer diversity. But diversity is non-existent at any of these schools, and just because the school is all Black does not mean it's diverse. And I have like a hard time selling this to them. So it's like, okay, if I was like a junior in high school and I was like, you were trying to sell Howard University to me and you were talking about the student body, what would you tell me? Because I can't do it.
Okay, well, first,
it got hard.
Are you, well,
Jiraiya got rank over you. She actually been on campus. She actually been on campus.
I was just gonna say that when we say diversity, oh yeah, sorry, I am old, as Damir likes to remind me. But I will say that some people feel like being Black is a monolith. So like, that's not my diversity; it's just Black people. But Black is a monolith. There are people from so many different countries. I was in the laundry room and a girl started talking to me, and I said, do you have a British accent? She's like, yeah, I'm from the UK, and I was like, what? Like, being Black is not a monolith. You have international students from the Caribbean, from Africa. Like I said, she was literally from the UK. Like, how many Black people you know with a British accent? I was like, what is happening? So
also, just to add off of what Jiraiya was saying, like, even in America, bro, like, okay, I'm from rural South Carolina, but I went to school in, semi-suburban Southeast Virginia. Imagine the shock when I met like New York people, Chicago people, Louisiana people, who are my personal favorite, people on the West Coast. Like, people don't understand that the country is so big that Black people have created our own niche and cultures in whatever environment and city we've been at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it like this. Obi, name something that New York's known for.
Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Okay. Basic food. Okay. Solo, name something that Ohio's known for.
Nothing.
Okay,
Corn.
Okay, y'all.
Columbus is kind of up there.
No, nothing, bro.
Right. What is something that DC is known for?
He's talking about go-go music. I can keep going on the Smithsonian, but wait, we can keep.
There
going.
we go. Jasmine, I don't know where you're from. I forgot to ask.
I'm from Atlanta.
Okay. Oh, bet. That's what ATL known for.
Good things or bad things?
Good things.
We're selling HBCUs. Good.
Good things that Atlanta's known for. I think like the city in general. Like, there's a lot of stuff to do in Atlanta, and then like the people. Like, you have Coca-Cola, you have CNN, you have Piedmont, you have like parks,
Cascade.
Okay, but
the roller skate, yes, Cascade is like iconic. I like Cascade.
Out
the
here
in Atlanta,
the music scene. I mean, okay, Jody. Which one you want? You want me to shout out Omaha, or you want me to shout out?
I ain't been in Omaha in 6 years, bro. And honestly,
what's something Florida's known for?
Florida's known for having crazy people. Known for Miami and Orlando in general. It's known for being hot.
Y'all not selling these places really well.
Hairstyles.
Okay, but I have not liked Miami since I got down here, bro. So I can't really sell it well, but it's just like
Black culture in Florida is distinct, though. You see a lot,
Okay, Florida's known for its rappers. It's also known for like this weird dance they got called sticking, where you just move your arms around in like these really weird. I don't know.
Show me.
City girls.
Yeah.
You gotta show me. I want to do it now.
Once you see the locks,
The locks,
you know Florida.
that is specifically Florida.
That's the Broward people specifically.
Yeah, that's Broward County.
Yeah.
But guys, we did have some. So Norfolk Christian High School is very open to allowing people to come in and speak. At my high school, Norfolk State University came rather frequently to Great Bridge, and they were the first HBCU that I knew of, and was like, oh, cool, they're on my list. I didn't go, obviously, but I'm just saying. So there are some high schools out there that are predominantly Black that do let students go out there and notify them of these HBCUs. But the thing about being a high school student is you typically come in as a freshman. You really don't know anything. You still going through puberty. So you just like mad, just like energetic about things, and you don't really know what's going on. You fresh out of middle school. Then there's the sophomore transition where you just sort of like in the air. And then people are like, hey, think about the rest of your life real quick. And then you're like, oh, all right. And then junior year, that's when they're like, this is the year that matters. If you mess up, nothing else matters after this. And then senior year, you're just like, all right, this is it for me. Just maintain. So the way that we teach high school students is a really big issue. And also, do you guys remember having any counselors just like suggest an HBCU to you?
No. And actually, my counselor, really hard, bro. Like, I feel like she did not want me to come to Howard. Like, she seemed very skeptical about my choice to attend this university. And like Florida has this thing called it's this scholarship that everyone like is eligible for if you reach like a certain SAT. And she was like, yo, make sure that you get this scholarship. Like, I know you're going to Howard, but make sure like you have a backup plan. And I'm just like, okay, so clearly you're taking all of the stereotypes associated with HBCUs and just applying it to Howard and projecting it onto me. Cause like, I knew that I was going to be fine overall, but like, yeah, the counselors were actually against me going to an HBCU.
I see you, Jasmine. Bam.
My school only had one Black counselor. And she tried to get Howard at our career fair, actually. And they didn't show, of course. But and she was trying to push for HBCUs to come to our career fair, but she got a lot of pushback from our school and our principal and everything. So I think that was difficult. When I told her I was going to Howard, she was really happy. And a couple other people from my school are actually in class of 2024. But I've been really trying to change that narrative and like get HBCUs known. And this kind of goes back to our previous topic a little bit. But there's this thing called the Common Black application. And it basically has a whole bunch of Howard's not on it, of course. But there's a lot of HBCUs on there, and it's one application that you do, and your app goes to all of the HBCUs. So at my school, I tried to start an initiative where I went back this year and talked to the Black Student Union about the Black Common application and tried to get students to apply. Now, it was difficult because we're all online, and the club situation was very hard, and I had to figure out who was doing BSU this year with online and everything. But I think once like things are getting back to normal, I think that's going to be something that could really help, is if all of us try and go back to our schools or go to even other schools and let them know about the Black Common application. It'll help get the awareness of smaller HBCUs and just HBCUs in general and get kids to apply to the schools.
And it's only $30.
Thank you.
Only $30.
About the counselors, like my counselors actively suppressed HBCUs, which was so. I remember like I have a Black counselor, and I remember we had a college fair, and I know for a fact we had dozens of kids who went to HBCUs in the year before. So I was expecting to see at least one HBCU. It was 9 PWIs, and the only Black representation that we had was a Black boy who went to Yale and joined a D9 fraternity. And that was our which one? The Kappas. And anyway, yeah, so and I went to his office and I was mad because it's like, where's the Black representation? And he was just like, well, it was above me, like there was just no HBCUs mentioned at all. And I felt cheated myself because it's like, I mean, like I know about them, but what about all the other kids going to apply to schools and don't know? Like it's just not right. And that's why I told myself I hate this school, but I'm gonna come back every year to promote HBCUs.
Can't do it.
Hey, How y'all doing?
Anybody got something else to say?
Yeah, because I wanted to sort of wind down a little bit with one last question, because we did sort of hark on the fact that, well, I'm glad that we looked at home with this, with the HBCU, but the topic was the role of HBCUs in the diaspora, and this is how I wanted to end out a little bit, is because how many of you guys would like to just study abroad? Just like, okay, cool, all right, bet. Now, how many of you guys would like to study abroad in an African or a West Indian nation? Okay, see, I'm fundamental this, and this is how we go into it. So, you was late on that raising the hand, Jody. Surprising, but so like, this is gonna be a pretty complex question to ask on the spot like that. So forgive me off real, but like, how do you guys see HBCUs linking intellectually with countries on the African continent, as well as countries in like the West Indies, as well as some South American countries? Like, what's up? Because obviously there are universities in all of these places, so it's not like there's just no place for HBCU students to go. But how you guys see that going forward in the coming years to link that?
Well, I will say Howard actually does it. It's the it's like the Ralph J. Bunche Center, and like all the information being brought in multiple countries. Like they make sure it's an option. Like if you're in COAS, the dean of COAS was trying to make sure everybody got a passport or renewed their passports. That was his whole initiative last year. So I don't know if he's still doing it, because like I'm no longer in there. But Howard definitely pushes for you to travel abroad. They literally have a whole building for it.
And I'm pretty sure y'all also like play a part in that, just because like the entire point of like about the organization is to like make sure that students are educated about like contemporary Africa, are traveling there, just like observing the society, doing research in Africa. So like Yali could also play a heavy part in connecting HBCUs and the African diaspora, and like HBCUs in African universities.
I see you, Jasmine.
I think also like the language programs, because I know like at Howard there's a lot of African languages that are offered, and within those programs you can go to those countries that speak that language. And then also I know for me, I already speak Spanish, so I think I'm gonna minor in Spanish, but I was also thinking about minoring in Portuguese. And when I was going to the world languages like Zoom call or whatever, they were talking about like Portuguese, how they do Afro-Brazilian studies, and they also focus on Angola, because that's one of the only Black or African Portuguese. And so I think from there, using the tools that we have in the language department and using that, I guess the identities of Black people in the different countries of the African diaspora, using that to get us to travel there and to experience that culture, and really will help us become well-rounded individuals. But that collaboration can also facilitate, I guess, the upbringing and the arisal of Black culture in general of different countries.
I didn't even know that, man. Appreciate that one. Definitely gonna keep that in the pocket right there. I see you, Solo.
I feel like another thing that I don't know how we go about doing it, but like making personal connections and like networking with those universities in those countries, and making personal connections with the professors, administration, any way we can in order to bridge the gap between us and them. And I feel like there's a good relationship that is to be had, if it's not already being had. So networking and like bridging the gap between us and them by like having conversations and making connections, so on and so forth.
I'm glad, because like the reason why it was on my mind is because a lot of Africans from around the diaspora tend to come to America to study, and we don't really hear so much of like Americans going to like Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica or like Nigeria or Angola, as you said. So just opening that up, because I feel like that sort of dispels a lot of the myths we have about each other, and then we can move forward and sort of get free. But that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you. I thank you. And drum roll a little bit. Imagine the drum roll, because I don't know. Will it work like this? Let me see. Can y'all hear that?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay, cool. Great. That was the drum roll. didn't learn how to play drums. That's why it was off rhythm and off beat. But you guys are now a part of our Council of Scholars. Thank you. Congratulations for being a part of the first week here. First full house, too. First full house. That was dope. I appreciate you guys for being here. Do you have any parting words for the show, for our guests?
One last HU. Can I do it?
Go ahead.
From the stomach.
Let me get some depth in my voice. Hold up.
Yeah, from the stomach.
HU.
You know.
All right, then.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
We'll work on this, Salman. We'll work on it.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was good.
You got to hold it, We'll work on it.
All right, bet.
I thought it was good. Good having you guys. Ciao.
Thank you.
No problem.
Solo just left the studio up and like.
James said we need more bass.
Oh my lord.
I'm telling you, if we get James on, he'll scare everybody at home though. So we'll see. But fellas, we're at the point here where we have a word from who?
Our sponsors.
Smart kids make our world better. At Heavenly Hearts, we believe that the right foundation is key to our future leader success. With our 4 key learning principles, which are inclusive learning environment, early exposure to financial literacy, community engagement, science and technology with engineering, art, and math labs will enrich each one of our future leaders as well as the community they are part of. In these unprecedented times, the $59 billion childcare industry has been dramatically impacted by the pandemic. Heavenly Hearts has currently implemented several advanced health and safety precautions to protect our children and staff at our current licensed facility in Chesapeake, Virginia. Our new location will continue to use advanced technology to protect our children from this and future threats to their health and safety. As our mission is to educate, empower, and equip our students with the necessary foundation to be holistically successful throughout life, we invite you to get involved. As an investor or community partner, you can help in a variety of ways. Contact Serena Mann at 757-254-8156.
How you guys doing? It is your host, it is Jaimir. And like we did say about uplifting and moving, our fellow universities out there just to get that name recognition, just to get that appearance. That's what we're doing here because it's not always about Howard. I mean, we had 6 Howard dudes, like people out here. So we was rolling deep, and the hope is to have people from around the HBCU diaspora. So we need some people from Grambling, we need some people from Clark, Spelman, Morehouse, but also from Morgan and Bowie, and Shaney and Wilberforce. So what we do here, this is our last segment of the show before we wrap things up, because I know I've had you here with my little fireside chat for quite some time, is basically we're going to recognize and shout out a certain HBCU. Every week we do this. Every week. We're doing this for a while, so it's going to be a lot of recognition. So you can never say that Jaimir Starks of Howard University never did nothing for nobody else HBCU. I'm doing it now. You see that. But which HBCU is this? It's the one, it's the only, it's Wilberforce. Yeah, Wilberforce is getting a lot of props there. It's right back. There it is. And basically, but we talked about Wilberforce yesterday, you say. I know, bro. I know we did. So, but we didn't talk about Wilberforce in depth. Now, as we did say that it was founded in 1856, and it was named after William Wilberforce, who was a British white philanthropist, and it was started as a joint venture between the Methodist Episcopal Church and the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and it was the first private historically Black university in the United States. But it became fully Black when in 1863, the African Methodist Episcopal Church had acquired ownership of the university, and the first president was Bishop Daniel A. Payne, who was a Black man, and the theological department soon grew and became the Payne Theological School, named after him. So, you know what you're thinking? What is Wilberforce known for? Well, they're known for a lot of alum. And it's funny because Wilberforce has a lot of notable musicians in their alumni pool. It's like dope to me. William Grant Still, who's a famous Black classical composer. Leontine Prince, she was a soprano and world-renowned classical singer. Frank Foster, musical virtuoso, with being a tenor, a soprano, saxophonist, an arranger, a composer, and a flautiste. I don't even know what a flautiste is. So shout out to you, Wilberforce, for introducing me to new words. And Tiny Bradshaw, band leader, singer, composer, pianist, drummer, musician extraordinaire. And Haley Quinn Brown, educator, writer, and activist who lived to be 104 years old. That's no joke, because this is how long she lived. She was born in 1845. Think about that, 1845. When was the school founded? She was born before the school. That's dope, ain't it? And then she lived to be 104. She made transition in 1949. She lived a long life educating, writing, and basically activating the Black masses and trying to get us organized and educated. So we salute her soul. But also another renowned activist, Wilberforce has a recurring theme here, Victoria Gray Adams. She was one of the founding members of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. If you don't know what the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party is, then you probably need to know a little bit about Miss Fannie Lou Hamer and what was going on down in the Mississippi Delta back in the 60s, and how we was really showing out, getting all our Black people, into the electoral process by any means necessary. But moving on away from the notable alum that Wilberforce is known for, we have Wilberforce itself, which is a 4-year, fully accredited. That right there is an achievement for any Black university. So shout out to Wilberforce on that. Liberal arts university that offers more than 20 degree programs and awards bachelor's and master's degrees. It is one of two. That's one, that's two. Uno, dos. Out. You know what I'm saying? Each knee. That's a little bit of Japanese for you. I told you I'm a polyglot right there. That's 3 languages we done did today. I don't know Spanish like Jasmine. So, we just did Spanish. I was thinking of Portuguese. I'm getting a little nervous now, as you can see. But one of 2 universities to include a mandatory cooperative educational program in its graduation requirements. So here at Howard University, we have a mandatory African American course that we need to graduate. There at Wilberforce, mandatory cooperative educational program. So what it means is students need to go out there and make sure that when they're learning and matriculating through their university, they're also giving back in some way. And I feel like that's pretty dope. But this would not be a Clever Communities in Action production if we didn't have, what you say, a book. Thank you. And what book would that be if you want to learn about the history and, I don't know, Wilberforce itself and all its greatness? Then check out A History and an Interpretation of Wilberforce University. That's our book for you. And I'm Jaimir. I'm happy to be here with you guys. I'm happy to fellowship with you guys. It's always been great being here. The show was great. We had a full house, man. The viewers was great. Maintained steam all the way through. Conversation was organic. It flowed. The comments was flowing in too from a lot of our more sophisticated and wise viewers. I really appreciate the conversation and the insights coming in. And I look forward to you guys just being here with me as we continue to move on and go out. But I'm Jaimir. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Same time on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And look out and make sure that you like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, like, share, and make sure you reach everybody out there. We're trying to grow this virtual village. We're trying to grow this HBCU diaspora. We're trying to stay plugged in while COVID has us shut in, but we won't be shut out from anything. And with that, I'll leave you all with this.